Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Today we're going to do a short regional hop here from Charlotte to KERI, K-E-R-I is the name of that. I've went ahead and fixed a couple things in here, so the webcam should now be nice and buttery smooth. And then obviously our flight sim is our flight sim, so we'll just run through this quick little flight. So Charlotte to KERI, you can, if you actually click on this, you can actually opens all of that up, which is kind of cool. But I'll zoom out here, make sure it's not super zoomed in. It's kind of cool. Anywho, what we can do here is we'll go ahead and show you the flight plan, taking it up to flight level 310 for today. And yeah, we're here in Charlotte. We're in the Nimbus Charlotte scenery. Got some guy taking off. Pretty good. Frame rates are pretty decent, about 50 frames. GPU is absolutely pegged right now. That's okay. Alright, we're going to hop up here in the cockpit. I'm just going to, again, make sure that all of this is fine. Sim sounds and all of that. The jazz is all cool. Alright. What we'll do here is we'll go ahead and take out the ground objects, because that's cones and stuff like that. We'll get the ground power unit on here, and we'll run through our checklist. So, we are doing a GPU power up here, so we'll get the batteries on. So, battery 2 and battery 1 on.
All unit okay.
Avionic master 1 on. MFD electric page. Oops. Here we go. Wait for that to sort of populate up. And we can go to the system and electric page. Alright, so batteries are greater than 19 volts. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get our GPU voltage. You can see our GPU voltage is between 26 and 29. Avionics master both coming on. And then GPU will select that. Shed bus verify is on auto. Fuel pumps pump 2 on. APU bleed is closed. So way we can check that is if cross bleed is open, and if I deselect this, it should say bleed 1-2 valve closed. Okay. APU bleed should be closed. ICAS APU indications. I have none. Fire detection test, we'll test that, and then we'll start up our APU. So we will test the fire warning system here. Alright. And that has an APU start. But before we do that, what we'll go ahead and do is program the FMC and get our position lights on. Aw, thank you. Thanks for joining me today. The one and only Riley is here. I hope your day is going great, babe. And thanks for stopping by. I love you so much. Alright, so let's do this. Let's arm emergency lights. Let's come down to the FMC and verify that the GPS position matches with the reference position of our airport. Then we can start loading this in. So let us go into here and open this up and move it. So we're going from Charlotte to... Okay, I actually need to learn the city name of that. Alright, departure, departing south, 36 center. On the Critter 6 departure, build transition. Direct to Raqqa. Direct to BWC. Direct. And with how short this flight is, we'll just go ahead and load up the approach procedure. So, I wonder if there's a VOR approach. And I haven't even tested a VOR approach in this, so it'll be kind of cool to see if this does have that. But we're landing west. So here's the ILS and here's the RNAV. The ILS looks like you got a procedure turn, or not a procedure turn, but a course reversal. And then here's the RNAV. So there's John Lee as our initial. Could also do vectors to final, do a little thing like that. But I think what we'll do is we'll do the RNAV approach. If we look at where we're coming from, if I put this into the plan mode, for example. Well, I guess I can't do that just yet, but anywho. If you look at it, we're going from south to north. So I think we could do Dumby as our initial approach fix, and then that way we don't really have to worry about a course reversal. These are 4 nautical mile holds, whereas they're 2-minute holds. So we'll do the RNAV. I also want to test out the RNAV capabilities in this. This is what type of, this is an LPV approach. So we'll see if we can do it as an LPV. I hope we can. But we will see here. So we'll put in the runway as runway 24. We'll do the RNAV. And we'll do Dumby. And here we go, LPV, which is what we're going to do. And we'll review that. So here's Dumby. And if we look here, we have... Alright, so 3,200 down to John Lee. And then Def Joe at 2,400. Yep, is our glide path intercept, 1,600. And there's our VDP. Okay, so we'll activate that. And now you can see the whole flight plan is in here. Here's a discontinuity. We'll just put that in here. And that is good. Here's our missed approach. Alternate. Okay. So the approach is in. What we can do now is, I personally don't like there being a bajillion different data points in here, so we'll do that. We can go standby over here. We'll put in flight level at 310 in the altitude. 310. And I'll change this to FMS, purple needles. Start up the APU now, so we'll go and get the APU master on. We'll wait for the yellow box to solidify, which it has. And we'll go ahead and start up the APU. Alright, and I'll just get my no smoking on. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go to the weight and balance, view load sheet, and load plane. Could open up the forward passenger door, simulate that, I guess. Okay, that looks good over here. We'll go to the perf init page. That's cool. APU is available. Let's go back to our checklist. Alright, GPU deselect shed bus override. So GPU is deselected. Notice shed bus 1, 2 off. And then when I override, that should be extinguished. Okay. APU bleed open after 3 minutes. So at around 11:33 or so, we'll do that. And then turn on our packs. Okay. Batteries, electrical, nav, hydraulics are off. Take off data, trim, TCAS, pressurizations, stereo APU. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just verify that the MCDU is all set up correctly. Go to the ground services, we'll close our door and take out our GPU. So let's go back here. Climbing at Mach 7.4, and that's all there, so that's good. Init cruise altitude is flight level 310. 290 at 45 is going to be our winds. Okay, and that looks good over here. Fuel gauge, we'll fill that in. Gross weight, this is saying 43,409, which is about right, and we'll confirm. So that looks good over there. Go to the takeoff page, and our altimeter setting here, let's pull that up. We're looking at 3014. We'll put that in here. Zoom in a little bit. 3014. You can see that will be set there. The rest of this is looking good. This is the winds are 300 at 4. Our METAR is showing 270 at 6 and 23 degrees. But what's odd is I can't change any of this information here. So this is not even like correct per se. We're doing a flaps 9 departure, but the V speeds here are not going to match the actual V speeds here because the weather information is not correct for that. But anywho, what we'll do here is I think we're good with this. I'll go and close that out. And then we'll open up, also get the airport. And we'll close that and we'll put up Charlotte. And then we can fill this in. So we are taking 36 center. Actually, I think it'll be better for us to take... Well, there's 36 center, there's 36 right. Well, yeah, we'll do 36 center. That's fine. Let's come back here. All right, 36 center. Wind is 330 at 6. Temperatures 26. QNH is 3013. Compute. Okay, and the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to just really quickly brief our departure. The Critter 6 departure. That's a funny name. Critter 6. You got Kermit 4. Okay, here we go. Here's the Critter 6 departure. We are departing south, 36 center. Climb on heading 003. What our heading is set, not that. Oops. 003. Okay, departure heading, say, climb on heading 003 to 1260, then on heading 330, or as assigned by ATC. And if you look at this down here, 003 heading to our altitude of 1260. And then from there, we're going to fly 330 vectors to Jeddah. So that checks out over there. So pretty straightforward. What we can do now is we are ready to push back So we'll come up here, and beacon light can come on, the seatbelt sign can come on. And if you open up the checklist here, pushback, beacons on, fuel pumps are both coming on. APU bleed open, engine bleeds. It's also 3 minutes past, so we'll get the APU bleed open, we'll close the engine bleeds, and then we'll get the packs on. So if we open this up here, here's the APU bleed, and then we'll close the engine bleeds and get the packs on. Okay, so all of that looks good. And I wonder if this is... Actually, this is opening up our APU bleed, so I take that back. Okay, what we need to do is we need to push back tail right.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
So, and we could push back like this, or we can push back like this. So what we'll do is we'll just move this like so, and then we'll bring you like so. So it's a little
cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Parabolic shape. COM 1 can come on. Okay, all of that looks good. Takeoff data. V speeds, we want to make sure that we actually do have the V speeds, the correct V speeds. I think this is kind of dumb how... Well, I guess it matches for the most part, but that's fine. We'll get this on a lower range ring. Here we go. Here's the cabin.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
See that signs there? Make sure this is cool. Alright. Coming down, we'll go TARA.
Winching strap and adapter in position. Release parking brake when ready to start pushback.
Park brake's coming off. Okay. There's ourselves idle TARA, and we'll open up the guard to start up our pushback. And that'll be that. Look at that pitch trim.
And you may start engines.
Okay, start up engine number 2 here, and we'll run. Oh, gotta wait for a second here. And ITT limits are set, N2 percentage is rising. Oil pressure, got good oil pressure here. And there's our temperature. I think this is for the brightness or something, not too sure. Ignition A. You can see the American Eagle. It's CRJ. Alright, so we got a good engine number 1 start here. We will go ahead and wait for the pushback to stop, and then we will go ahead and start up engine number 1. Alright, after start there's the hydraulic pump, size detection, engine auto, AP bleed, engine bleeds, cross bleed. So here's your gasper, cross bleed. Okay. And you have this little thing here for some more lights. You can choose between the weather and terrain. We'll choose the terrain radar for today, and I think it'll load up. Maybe not. We'll do weather then, and then we'll go in here and get the weather radar on.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Park brake is set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Change the amount of gain that you want instead of the max or minimum. Push that in. Yeah, we'll put it there. Okay, engine number 2 is good. We'll start up engine number 1. So again, get it to the run page. And we'll start her up. Good oil pressure, ITT limit set.
Tow is disconnected and bike capstan has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
All right. Good engine start here. I'll open this up so we can run through this. So after start checklist, hydraulic pumps to auto, ice detection override, that is over here. We have it set to auto. APU bleed will close, engine bleeds will open. And cross bleeds set to auto. We have an airplane running through us right now. Packs are on. Stereo light is on. Roll takeoff, autopilot off. Speeds, trim, APU, stop. Shed bus to auto. Gen 1. Windshield. Heat. And then lining up is when we do our gust lock and our lights. Alright, we'll get our taxi light on. We'll set our flaps for departure, which is 9 degrees. And set our thrust rating to takeoff. Flaps are set. Now what we're going to do is we are going to what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, pitch trim. There we go. This is trimmed way too much, so we'll do that. Pull the parking brake, get rolling. It is a decently long taxi, so there's that. Now see how this is in roll and pitch mode, which is our default. If I click the toga button, then we're gonna have roll, takeoff, altitude select mode. And we are moving. So, here's our thing. We're going to just join up here on this part, still in the non-movement area. And then we'll head on south. I mean, we could also join the active taxiway. We could join Charlie. But, actually, we'll do that. We'll join Charlie here. Got some American Eagles. Those guys are parked at the gates. We weren't using a gate. We were just kind of doing our thing. Have panel lights. Which you can kind of dim out. We got those dims. Alright, we're on Charlie. Another thing you can do is you can put on bearing pointers, but those are not really good if nothing's really plugged in. So. There's an American Eagle taxiing out. Here we are taxiing out. And the modeling is just fantastic in this plane. Oops. Alright, we're going to join taxiway Mike here. Make a left or right turn onto Mike because we're landing and departing south. And we're going 36 center. And my throttles are idle right now, and we have enough weight to carry our momentum forward here. There you can see some Delta 717s. Also really excellent planes. I think someone's making a 717 for a sim. I can't remember if it's X-Plane or Microsoft, but I know for one of the sims they're doing it. So we'll just continue on Mike, and then we'll make a left on Foxtrot. So there's Bravo. Yep, so we're going to make a slight bend here, basically. Charlotte is a huge, huge airport. A lot bigger than I thought it would be. Got a lot of airplanes. Alright, we're going to make a slight right turn here. ILS critical area, or the ILS hold short point. We are just going to go ahead and blow through that and make a left on a Foxtrot. Boom. They used to have crosswind runways. I don't know if they even have a crosswind runway now, but chart says they don't, but we'll see. Okay. I'm going to slow down just a little bit as I kind of come into this corner. There's another RJ. A lot of CRJs meandering about. Alrighty. There we go. And we'll just keep this going. There's a CRJ holding short. We will follow him. Lovely. We got one guy holding short, and we have one that is on final. So if this is sequenced out correctly, this guy holding short on final should land, and then we will go ahead and take off after this guy takes off. All right. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and get ours here. Alright, gust lock is free. And flight controls are good. You can actually do a flight control check via system... Or never mind. I don't think that's like in the other one, but there that guy is. He's pretty good. After takeoff, add acceleration, landing gear up, flaps up, thrust climb, ECAS. Alright. Is there another guy holding short? Another guy coming in to land. And then a guy coming in to land after him. Wonder if... We'll see. I think after that guy lands, this guy's going to take off. It's the hope, though. We shall see, though. We shall see. There we go. That guy's gonna hold short. I'm gonna pull this out and we're gonna hold short. Or he's gonna line up and wait. Or just take off and we're gonna follow behind him.
Take off, okay.
Looking good. Since we're ready for takeoff, we'll get the landing lights on, taxi lights off, strobe light on, and go ahead and give them a little ring. Alright, and then we'll hold short here. Okay, I don't know why the parking brake actually doesn't really work. You have a noise canceling headset, which literally takes out all the sounds, which is kind of crazy. Alright, notice how we still move. So I have to click V to actually engage the park brake. Alright, this guy's gone. So now I'm curious, if I release this, now we actually move. So that's kind of interesting, but it's just something that happens. Alright. I'm gonna pop these guys out. And once we get to 1260 MSL, we are gonna make that turn to from 003 to 330. So make a left turn once we pass 1220. Okay. Here we go. Lining up with the runway. And takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. Alright. Alright, we're gonna rotate here. Alright, positive rate of climb, gears coming up. arm the nav. Okay. Make that left turn to 330. There we go. Oop. Alright. And we'll go climb thrust. Alright. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn on autopilot. Now we're getting vectored out. So this is in the pitch mode. We're going to go into the level change mode. And we are going to proceed direct to Jeddah. And we'll get the nose light off. And then as we're accelerating up, I still have flaps set to 9 degrees, so flaps coming up. Flaps are up. Sync our heading. And departure is done. Looks like the timer automatically starts. Which is kind of cool. Here what the noise cancelling headset's like. It's actually pretty decent with the use that just a little bit. Alright, good takeoff here. Here's the flight plan. There's Raqqa. It's like climbing past 6,000. We'll go to the progress page. So our top of climb is at 14 minutes. Our top of descent is in an hour here. Lovely. I'm gonna DoorDash some food. Alright, cool. Ordered some DoorDash. Alright, we're climbing past 10,000 feet. Landing lights off. Seatbelt sign is coming off. Cool. Alright. I wonder if there's like a pause at Todd button in here. I don't think so. Oh, there is a pause at Todd. That's cool. See a little bit of a coloration change there. There we go. All right. And then you can see the estimated fuel quantity. Looks beautiful. So yeah. They have Lego smart bricks now, which is kind of crazy. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. My dasher should be here in just a couple minutes. Standard barrow. So we have about 5 minutes till we reach our climb. And about 40 minutes until we reach our top of descent. I mean, it's quite the service ceiling. Now, here's something I wanted to do. Let's see. You can do save preview screenshot, which is kind of crazy, but alright, I think we're approaching our, yep, approaching 310. We'll keep our throttle in the climb detent. That way we can accelerate to our cruise speed. Which we know is going to be Mach, what do we say, Mach 7.4? So yeah, we'll build up some of that airspeed. We have about 40 minutes until we hit our top of descent. That looks just great. Alright, cool. Alright, getting a little bit closer here. Alright, as we're approaching that cruise speed, I'm going to knock down the N1 percentage. You can see that I can move it down a little bit. We're going about 89.8. If you actually look at the thrust cruise, well, I was going to say 88.3 is what we are working with. And we're kind of just right in there. Our current speed, we're actually kind of pushing through, so we'll put in like a little bit less throttle. Should be good. Sweet. Should be getting my food here in just a couple minutes. Alright, my dasher's here. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab my food real quick. Alright, and after that, where I absolutely demolished some food, we are back. Okay. Add a little bit more rust here, about 20 minutes away. So at about 12:47 we'll start that descent. Once we're a lot closer, I'm actually going to go ahead and brief the approach, but for now we are just kind of chilling out. So, pretty cool. I think there's a master volume or something. Yeah, we'll adjust the net master volume here. Pretty darn cool. There we go. Getting some more cloud formations up there. I think there's like a little, oh, there's just a paper that's running across. All right, 100 nautical miles out. We'll go ahead and we'll brief that approach. Runway 24 also with runway 24, we're just going to take it all the way down. And there's land and hold short, but we'll take it all the way down to Foxtrot. Either Foxtrot or Delta. And then we can take it straight into the terminal. As far as the approach goes, we are doing the RNAV LPV. So we'll go to Dumby, and then we'll descend down to 3,200. At or above 3,200 to Johnley, at which point we'll make a left turn to intercept our final approach course, 245. We'll keep this entire thing in FMS purple needles because it is a GPS approach. And then we should be able to, once we're at Johnley, we should be able to arm the approach mode. And once we descend down to 2,400 and hit Deefjo, we should be able to intercept the glide path down to our LPV minimums of 212. This is our radio altimeter. So we'll set 220 because 215. All right. So that's all set. We're not doing the circle to land, we're just going straight in. So, cool. Got about 10 minutes till we actually start up our descent. And otherwise, we're looking peachy. Alright. Again, the cloud formations and all of that look just really, really great. Sounds like a fucking rocket ship. Holy shit. We are gonna pretend like we didn't hear that. That's ridiculous. But, anywho. You can actually see in here the vertical speed required, but it's a 3-degree pitch down attitude. So I think there's a way for you can use speed, level change, vertical speed. But like if you go to your perf data and you go into your perf descent. Bottom of descent altitude 3,200. ETE is about 30 minutes to get there. Here's your angle, about 3 degrees. And if you look at your attitude, this is 10, this is 5, so you want to be right around here. So, because I do believe it's 3 degrees of pitch attitude rather than 3 degrees of a glide path. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's okay. Yeah, again, the overall atmosphere just looks really freaking good. So, Pretty sweet. Alright, about 50 nautical miles. Let me actually explore the cockpit. I haven't really done that. Outside of just setting up my things in here. So yeah, some pretty standard stuff. You have the door in here. And what's cool with this, and whenever we fly this at nighttime, which I'm thinking maybe tomorrow or something like that, I need to clean out my PC. The bottom is quite dusty. Anywho, what you can do is you can actually turn on like the ceiling lights, and you can increase or decrease the brightness, and also you can I mean, that's about it. It's not as interactive as like the EJets are, but still pretty decent. And look at this 2x1 configuration. And right now we can see we have the seatbelt sign off and the no smoking on. So yeah, here it shows both illuminated, but anywho. So yeah, about 7 minutes from our top of descent. You can see this is our gross weight that just keeps on going. So quite literally, to find your landing weight, what you can do is you can go to the progress and do the estimated fuel. That's one way. Another way you can do this is to go to the landing page. And you can go to, or actually probably the descent page. Yeah, so I mean that shows you there. At the bottom of the descent's 3,600, so you'll have roughly 3,600 fuel versus whatever your current fuel quantity is. Subtract it to get the difference between, and then get that number and subtract that from your gross weight, and that'll be your estimated landing weight. So pretty straightforward there. But yeah, not bad. Looks like we got some it is a little bit cloudier here compared to Charlotte, so there's that. Okay. About 3 minutes out, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put in 3200 into our altitude. And we'll just give it a couple more minutes here, and then we'll start that descent down in. And bada bang, bada boom. Ugh. Alright. Coming up on this now, so about 10 nautical miles. I think what we'll do is we'll, let's see here. Because I know there's a way you can change it from, I'm on altitude capture mode, or altitude hold mode. I want to change this to, let's see, I'm curious to see what it wants us to do, and then we'll see how it plays out. So let's take a look here. So far we've traveled a decent amount. Oh shit, holy shit, I caught my phone. That's actually crazy. Okay, we've flown a decent amount because Erie is all the way up here in New York. So, and we flew all the way down from Charlotte. So this is actually, as far as like an Embraer ERJ route is concerned, this is like, yep, okay, here we go. So what we'll do here is we'll click level change, I think. And I wonder if this will actually follow a glide path, or if this will, not glide path, or advisory VNav. Because I think when you enable, yeah, okay, so, interesting. Now it says we're low. But what I've essentially done is just enabled an level change, and no speed is selected, so it looks like it's just doing an advisory descent down it. I think that's about right, because we're still about 70, 80, 90 miles from our initial approach fix, so we've got plenty of time to descend down to 3,200. This is getting it at about 2,000 feet per minute, which is fine. I don't think we're going to blow past our altitude like we did the other day. I think this time it's a lot more controlled. But we will see how it plays out. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out for sure. Alright, so still doing that descent. I'm kind of cooking it. We're going at like 0.7 Mach almost in our descent. Once we get to 10,000, we're going to obviously slow down our descent or our speed. I want to make sure that runway 24 is actually, yeah, do that. Cool. But yeah, again, the clouds just look phenomenal in X-Plane. That's part of why I mean, Embraers are such cool looking planes. They're very sleek. They've got the T-tail. They're very cool planes. So what's interesting is the vertical speed isn't like shallowing out. If I look here at the progress page, this is not even close, right? So that's not right. If you look at the descent, bottom of descent, distance to go, fuel remaining, angle, ETE, it's all there. But some of these, like these functions don't really work. ATC doesn't work. These soft keys work, but I think this add-on is just a little bit pricey for what it is, but I enjoy it. I think it's a whole lot of fun. I would have liked to pay like $15 less than what I actually paid, and I think I'd be a lot more happy with it. But suffice to say that it is pretty good. So not too shabby. I think we're at what, 210 right now, blowing through that altitude. So should be on the ground at about 30 minutes, give or a take. All right. Also, we'll keep the range ring on the... Here's another thing that's kind of interesting, is if you notice here, this range ring, it shows 50 nautical miles as the radius. Here it shows 40 nautical miles. So there is that discrepancy there that I'm not too sure about. Checklist 1 doesn't work. TCAS doesn't really work, I don't think. System, you have the takeoff, ECS, anti-ice. You have fuel. Total used, total fuel, in each tank, hydraulic quantity and pressure, and the here it says elect pump off. It looks like our electric hydraulic pumps are off, yes. Brake temperature, and your electric page. So, pretty cool. I kind of want to monitor the temperature because that would be kind of cool to see. Change once we actually utilize our brakes on the landing here. But yeah, look at that, we're at minus 2,000 and that triangle is kind of just chasing it down. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get the we need to get the altimeter setting here, which is going to be 2991. Set. And here's what's cool. You can actually, if I do this, I can then actually have my approach. Boom. I can actually have my approach plate like this, which is I think pretty cool. It's a little bit like cropped in a way, but I think that's pretty sweet. And then once we get to 15,000 feet, what we'll do is we'll turn on the seatbelt sign. Oh, and here's the other thing too. So I have the, again, the APU is off here. I'm just going to move the switch to the off position. But yeah. Again, beautiful clouds. The everything about the environment just is so well done in X-Plane. So again, kudos to you, Laminar, for making it the best looking sim. when you're above a certain altitude. Which is crazy. It used to be like the VFR simulator. Now it's more of like a IFR high height kind of thing. It's not really a general aviation one, so. Alright, start slowing down to 250 knots. Yeah, we'll go ahead, and I'm going to actually go idle here and bring the throttles all the way back so that we can slow down here. And actually, what I'm going to do here is bug 10,000. That way, we'll capture 10,000 feet, and then it'll allow us to slow down for a little bit, and then we'll start our descent back up. So, John Lee is our initial, if we look at it here. Sorry, Dumby is our initial approach fix. But we want to reach John Lee at 3,200. So, we're about 30 nautical miles, about 5 minutes. So we're looking fine over here. Landing lights, seatbelt sign, coming on. And I got a little bit of speed brakes to slow us down a little bit. I just, again, want to slow past 2,000, or 200, and slow below 250 knots here, which should be comfortably happening with a little bit of speed brake action, which it is. And we'll go ahead and reset this down now to 3,200. I'll go ahead and close this up. And we'll add a little bit of power here. About 50% N1 should be enough to actually maintain our current airspeed, or not. But way too much. Let's do 40%. About 46% will be enough to keep us below 250. Alright, so we are 23 miles out from Dumby. And let's say we want to hit Dumby at, I don't know, 4,000 feet. That's 6,000 feet that we need to descend past. Here it says 4 minutes, right? So we have 4 minutes to reach Dumby. And if we are going down at 1,000 feet per minute, yeah, we need to get this descent rate down a little bit further. Vertical speed closer to 2,000 would be appropriate, and bring the throttles back to about 35% or so. And one to about 37 should be plenty. Okay, we're almost over speeding here. Let's shallow this out, get a little bit of speed brakes. I turn away for like 3 seconds and we're already about to overspeed. Alright. Let's get the master volume back up. There we go. Miles out, 2,000. Yeah, this is perfect. Keep this, and we're perfect. If you look at Jeanli is about 11 miles out. Final approach fix is DFJO. I want to be fully configured at DFJO. We can start configuring, I guess, as we approach Jeanli, and then we'll be fully configured at DFJO. But yeah, this is looking good. Got about 6-7 miles until Dumby. About a minute to go. Oh, what we need to do real quick. I totally forgot to do this. Is the landing performance. So we're doing runway 24. Wind is 210 at 8. QNH is 2991. Landing weight and flaps. Since we are 210 at 8 knots, we'll just take 4,200 is what we'll say. Since we have calm winds, we're just gonna go flap 45 here. Compute and send. So that looks good. Alright, approaching our initial approach fix. We'll slow down at 210 knots here. And we'll get flaps to 9 degrees. I'm going to, let's see here, I'm going to, actually we'll leave the infographics, I guess. Alright. So flaps are at 9 degrees. Still going that 1,000 foot per minute descent. Holy. And we'll go ahead and arm the approach mode here. Keep the speed where it's at. I think this will be fine. Add a little bit of power here. And we're going to let the speed drop back. We'll let it drop back to about 160 knots here. And we'll go flaps 22. We'll drop our gear once we are at our final approach fix. And then we'll fully configure at that point. So we're still about 2 miles out. We need to descend out at 2,400. And actually, I'm not going to arm the this one here. Because what we need to do is we need to, once it turns, we need to start our descent down to 2,500, which we'll do here. Like that. I'll bring the throttles back a little bit. Because we want to descend down to 2,400 before we reach DFJO, and then we'll intercept the glide path. See it swinging inbound. Keep the speed where it's at. I think this is pretty good. Alright. Go flaps 22. Five nautical miles out. 1,000 feet per minute. And this is looking good. Boom. Gonna hold this. Now I'm gonna arm the approach mode so that we can get the glide path. When we intercept our glide path, we're also gonna be at DFJO, and then that is when we're gonna drop the gear and slow down to our final approach speed here. I'm gonna add some more throttles because we're kind of cooking it here. Been an hour and 10, and we'll set the takeoff thrust rating. Just in case we do need to actually execute that. So I'm keeping my speed up just a little bit here, right around the 150 mark. And our gear is staying up for now. And then at DFJO here, we should be able to intercept the glide path, follow it down to our LPV minimums of 215. About 2 nautical miles to go. Airspeed's getting low. About 1.3 miles out. Alright, our glide path should be coming down. I'm going to slowly bring throttles back just a little bit. Bring it down a little bit more. Again, if you look outside, don't have a visual of anything. Alright, glide path is magenta, gears coming down, flaps 45. Slow down to our approach speed here. I'm going to add a little bit of power because all that drag that we just dumped out is going to slow us down quite a bit. So we'll keep throttles here. Looks like we're maintaining that quite well. Coming through, and we have the runway is in sight. VDP here is 1.2 to runway 24. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, buckle in. Okay, here we go. Go ahead and
Autopilot. Autopilot.
there we go. Airspeed's looking beautiful. Wish I can probably increase my seat height just a little bit here. bit of power here. Just gonna pitch up just a little bit.
500.
Okay. You want to follow that glide path. It's looking good. Alright, got the runway in sight. Ease back on the power here. Easing back.
100.
A little bit.
50.
Go.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Lovely. Reverser's coming down. Awesome. So the reversers, spoilers are opened. We're gonna take Delta here. That was freaking awesome. Spoilers closed, flaps 2290. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. And we're gonna cross the runway here. And then we will go ahead and close up. That was freaking awesome. That was a soft landing as well. Pretty sweet. Alright, past the hold short marker, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the strobe light off, all the landing lights off, taxi light on, APU on, wait for the box to solidify, which it has, start up the APU. Cool. There are our gates. So we will spin it around here. Probably take this one here, since it looks like it's a bit lower. APU is available, so shed bus will go override. APU bleed will open that up. I guess we'll take this last one down here. It's cool, it has like that pushback tug. Alright. There we go. Pull all the way up. There we go. Park brake set. Alright. Gotta run. I always like watching you stream. Have a good day, love. Thank you. And that was actually perfect timing now that we landed up over here. So I'll see you soon, babe. Love you so much. Alright, so let us do this here and shut her down. So what we're gonna do is throttles are closed, APU is on, shed bus is overrided. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and stop the engines. Seatbelt sign coming off and beacon sign coming off. And I'll leave the rest of this alone. It's probably going to start beeping. There you go. And Hatch jetway. That was pretty sweet. While that works up, I do need to add some
Added camera
external
1 to category
videos
3.
here. External camera.
Cameras saved. Added camera 2
Add
to
another
category
one.
3.
It's like this.
Cameras saved.
For now, that should be fine. But yeah, beautiful. Let's take a look here at the -126. Pretty sweet. Complete the flight. That wasn't bad at all. The landing report was pretty sweet. I mean, we floated just a little bit past the 1,000 footers, bang on center line, but pretty good. So if we look at the replay now, that's what we'll do. Let's APU gen overload. It's because I have the avionics and all that on. So let's go toggle replay mode. I think you'll still see the APU door open and all of that with the thing replayed, but anywho, let's get the overlay and the camera out of the way for the replay. And we'll back it up and do that. Let's take a look. All right, let's see if we can do the old flyby touchdown view thing. So let's take it to roughly where our touchdown point was, which is like right over here. And we know that we touch down like this. It's probably going to look like this. But yeah, take a look. Well, that was a little bit of a fail. Something like this, though. Holy shit, that's actually insane. Like fucking a rocket ship, dude. Jeez. Let's take a look at it from this view here. It's pretty fun. Nice. Let's take one from here. I wonder if this actually, this might work. Let's see. Hell yeah. Frames always go to shit with this, but I wish the taxiway signs would look a little bit neater, and then other than that, not bad at all though. All right, here's one last view for the day, and then that'll be it. So thanks for stopping by. And until then.